You mentioned the first of two Supreme Court cases that have really gone against the Trump administration. First, they're targeting the LGBTQ community, was thankfully blocked, at least in one component. And then also we had the breaking news of this morning was the DACA decision, stopping at least this attempt by Trump to eliminate that program, although it potentially opens the door for it to happen in the future. What was your reaction to seeing that, again, 5-4 decision?
Was grateful by each of those, grateful to see each of those decisions. And you're absolutely right to draw your viewers' attention to the issues beyond the four corners of the case. Each of these cases, both the extension or the recognition, let's say, of anti-discrimination principles in the workplace for LGBT, particularly trans folks, and the preservation of the DACA, deferred action program for Dreamers. Both of those decisions were good decisions, deciding statutory interpretation, which is to say the court in both of those cases was not deciding constitutional issues, but rather interpreting acts of Congress. And there's two reasons to note why that's important. One, the workplace discrimination provisions that the court upheld earlier this week, Congress should have passed those years ago. Democrats had majorities in the House and Senate 10 years ago, and they didn't pass it then. And I just wonder why. And it reflects that, frankly, Congress has not, even Democrats have not long favored gay rights. I have. And I just want to draw that contrast. In the context of the DACA decision, what's interesting about that is it's an act of the court, particularly interpreting a executive order originally. And the point here is that Congress has never created a pathway to citizenship. That's what the court should be evaluating, is real immigration reform that demilitarizes our borders, that enshrines human rights, that recognizes the right to migration, including labor migration, that we fought a world war to establish 70 years ago. And instead, what we see are these half-assed measures that protect, in this case with Dreamers, students but not their families, not workers and their parents. It just carves out one minor piece of the puzzle, and that's because corporate Democrats thought that students would be easy people to defend. And so they said, we're not going to defend immigrant workers. We're not going to defend immigrant families. We're just going to take the students and the young people who came because they're politically sympathetic, and we Democrats can defend them, but we can't defend the rest. I'm a proud immigrant. And I would have been a dreamer. My family was fortunate to have an opportunity to come through a legal process, which most don't ever have. It's not an opportunity that most people have. And we need to fix that. We can fix that through the law. That's what Congress is there for. And Congress needs to pass an immigration reform that creates a safe, welcoming pathway to citizenship without militarizing our country and without deploying a surveillance net across the country, as previous immigration reforms have done, to basically create a pretext for authoritarianism in the United States using we immigrants as political punching bags.
I'm curious, looking forward, let's say hypothetically, we reach December and Joe Biden has won and Trump is actually accepting the results. Somehow the Democrats have taken over the Senate. Let's say that hypothetically Nancy Pelosi remains Speaker of the House. Looking forward to the next 4 years on that topic, immigration reform that would go past just defending students temporarily, sort of. Do you see it happening if that's the leadership over the next 4 years?
If the leadership for the next 4 years is Biden and Pelosi, we can be very assured that nothing will fundamentally change, that we will be attempting to resuscitate a corporate past that has already proven its failure. And nowhere is this more explicit and visible than in the context of healthcare, with the possible exception of housing. I think these are two areas, policing as well. I mean, you could pick your poison here. Every single one of these issue arenas demonstrate the failure of the bipartisan corporate establishment, including Democrats. Housing, let's just talk about that really quick. Here in San Francisco, we have among the worst affordable housing crises of any city in the country. It is a national problem, and it might be very different if Democrats weren't led by a wealthy landlord protecting her class interests. Nancy Pelosi is worth over $100 million and makes $1 million a year in rental payments.
Wow.
And it doesn't surprise me that she's not backing Ilhan Omar's proposal to suspend rent and mortgage payments and support small landlords for the duration of the pandemic. That's the kind of reform, Ilhan Omar's, that the squad supports, that I would support. It's exactly the kind of measure that Biden and Pelosi don't. And it is the refusal of corporate Democrats to show up for the needs of struggling American families confronting a public health crisis, an economic crisis, a set of compounding challenges, the likes of which our civilization has never seen, certainly at the same time. And instead of showing up for the needs of essential workers, the needs of struggling families, the needs of immigrants and people of color, corporate Democrats are doing the same pattern of silly theatrical stunts and, basically trying to pimp these social issues to raise money for their corporate political party. Yeah. And I'm not having it. That's not what I'm here for. It's not what the American people are here for. It's not what we need. It's not what the Constitution invites either. And I'm eager to do the job that corporate Democrats, particularly Nancy Pelosi, have proven unwilling in the past 20 years to do.
And if someone watching this wants to find out more about your background, some of the issues you're pushing for, where can they get more information about your campaign?
Would love to invite people to check out our campaign website. We're online at www.shahidforchange.us. We're also on all of the major social media platforms, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Shahid for Change.
Shahid Buttar, thank you again so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, John.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.